Welcome to our webinar. Justus, you should also hopefully be able to see, who is our head of programs out in Kenya, and is going to be joining us shortly for the Q&A. But prior to that, I'm just going to give a bit of context really for our Q&A and just give you guys firstly a brief history of Dig Deep for those, and introduction to Bomet County for those who are new to the organisation. I'm going to talk a bit about our practical immediate solutions we've delivered in 2022, give some highlights there, look a bit at our long-term partnerships for change we've developed, go through some opportunities, some key opportunities at the moment for you supporters if you wish to, and then we're going to head into Q&A with Justus. So I can see a lot of people on the call, like some of you I know really well, some of you I look forward to meeting in person for the first time at some point soon. But for those of you who don't know, at Dig Deep, we believe that everyone has a fundamental right to clean water, safe toilets and good hygiene. Our purpose is to collaborate with the Kenyan government, local businesses and communities to transform the provision of clean water, sanitation and good hygiene for the 1 million residents of Bomet. We're a little bit different from other organisations, predominantly because we focus on one area, solving one problem. So we're committed to working with Bomet County until all 1 million residents have access to clean water, safe toilets and hygiene. We know that it's local people who overcome the water and sanitation crisis, and it's our job to help them dramatically speed this up. So we know that it's local government, local business and local leaders who are going to achieve that, and our job is to provide them all the support they need to overcome these challenges. And we act in the short term whilst planning for the long term. I'm going to go on to give a few examples of that. But before that, I really just want to introduce you guys to someone very close to my heart, which is Bomet County. So Bomet is obviously in Kenya, and it's in the southwest of Kenya, as you can see on this map. 1 million people live there, and I'd really like to just introduce you to a few of them. So I think the first thing I love Bomet, and the first thing that I always tell people is, firstly, it's an incredibly beautiful place, and I've been fortunate enough now to spend many years of my life living, working there, and I certainly haven't been anywhere in the world that's more welcoming. You may be aware that the way of life in Kenya is largely determined by tribe. Bomet's home to Kenyan tribe, so there are 42 tribes in Kenya, 68 languages, very, very diverse country. But Bomet is home to the Kenyan tribe. And you may have heard of the Kenyan. Globally, they're very famous for running. Like, I can't remember the exact stat, I'm sure Justus will correct me later, but I think something like over 50% of all Olympic running gold medals have been won by Kenyans, and there's only 5 million of them, so that's pretty incredible. And it's also a very good tea and coffee growing area, so you've almost undoubtedly had a cup of tea or coffee that's been grown here as well. Just give you a feel of the way of life in Bomet. This is like a typical scene, a typical house you'd see. It's a very rural community. I think it's worth focusing on what isn't there. So you can see houses are made of earth predominantly, and that's obviously different from the UK where you'd be using bricks. You can see there's very few roads. There's like very, very few paved roads, and if there are roads, they're mostly more moran, which is like a mixture of dirt and stones rather than like tarmac. Very little electricity, and of course water and sanitation is a big problem, which we'll come on to in a second. This is a typical house. I think, if you're going to translate this into UK context, you could say this is a middle class house, so not a straw roof, because you can say it's middle class because it hasn't got a straw roof, it's got a batty roof, a tin roof instead, and also there's quite a lot of land around it. Schools are quite similar, so you can see this is a typical classroom that kids will learn in. You see the mud floor, you can see through the walls, but that isn't to say there isn't a hell of a lot going on here. First thing to note is these kids are learning either third or fourth language, because they'll learn Kalenjin as a first language, then Swahili. School is in English, and a lot of kids in the area also speak Maasai because they neighbour the Maasai lands. I remember, taking a photo like this. I often, it's just in the middle of a maths lesson, and I've got A-level maths, very proud of that. But I wasn't able to keep up with a lot of the algebra on the board, and the kids were. I could find that quite amusing. And so like education is taken extremely seriously. It's extremely impressive what with limited resources people are able to achieve. Before we go on to some of the challenges in Bomet, I always like to point out I've seen some real progress in the county since I started working there. So this is a picture of Denai High Street, which is the focal point of where our projects are. You can see in this picture that there is a tarmac road. Now that definitely wasn't there when I first went to Bomet in 2012. It used to take something like 12 hours to get from Nairobi through to Bomet, and now it takes 5 type road, which is fantastic. You can see the electricity pylons have turned up, and so I've been seeing these in my time going to Bomet, seeing these electricity pylons coming along towards the Nye here, and it's so fantastic to see those engaged. Those are now supplying a lot of the schools in the area, but it's going to be a while until they get last mile connections over the households. But again, that's a really big improvement. And there's a lot more buildings being built that are made of concrete. So you can see the high street here. And this is actually Dig Deep's office right in the middle of the high street, which I'll come back to in a second. That said, there are still some really big challenges in the area, and the key to those is lack of access to water and sanitation. So currently 65% of people currently don't have access to clean water, 54% don't have a safe toilet, and 37%, only 37% of people have knowledge of basic hygiene. So this picture here is unfortunately a very typical water source in the area. A similar situation with sanitation. So this toilet is a school toilet that will be serving between 100 and 150 girls, primary school. So as you can see, not ideal. To give you an impression of what that's like, for learners, I'm just going to show you this quick video of incredible head teacher Emily, who's head teacher of Jubilee Amani Primary School, who we're hoping to work with to supply clean water and sanitation to within the next year.
Sickness, or as a result of not having proper sanitation. Personally, it's kind of scary going to such washrooms or toilets, because one, I feel like it can go down with me. Two, if I'm scared like that, also the drainage is kind of difficult, and then cleaning wooden floors is also not easy. We are not sure that it is well cleaned. So we urgently need construction of permanent toilets or latrines to help the learners, like bring them at par with other learners. Like most learners have permanent toilets. Why should this one be disadvantaged to continue using the wooden ones?
That is obviously a very good question Emily's posing there. And this is serious because it has some very, very big impacts. Most obviously on health. Currently, waterborne diseases are responsible for more deaths every single year than all forms of violence around the world, including war. It has a huge impact on education. I think Emily just explained very clearly there why it's very difficult to run a school if you don't have clean water and sanitation. It has a particular impact on women and girls. Particularly if there's no sanitation facilities in a school, girls, when they get to their teenage years and start menstruating, tend to miss 1 week in 4 because there's just nowhere to change in private, and the burden of water collection predominantly falls on women within the community as well. And economic growth, it's very difficult to grow your economy if you don't have access to clean water and sanitation. Before I move on to what we're doing about this, I quickly want to introduce you to the team you're also supporting. So we're incredibly blessed as an organisation to have an incredible colleagues in Kenya, all from Bomet County. So this is a picture of the team, and you see Justus there is going to be joining us in a second. As you can see, as I said earlier, our office is right in the heart of the community that we serve, and I think this makes us very different from a lot of different organisations. When you visit, you'll see that people in and out the whole time. They're mostly just there to say thank you, but they also come with constructive feedback. And for us, that's incredibly important because it means that if there's ever any issues in any of our projects, then people can come and talk to us straight away and we can rectify them. It's a really good way of learning and make sure that we are held to account directly by the people we're meant to be serving. And this is Justus addressing one of his many community meetings, and we'll come back to Justus at the Q&A. I quickly want to take you guys through highlights from 2022. Now, the 2 pillars to our work: practical immediate solutions and long-term partnerships for change. I'm going to start by taking you through our practical immediate solutions, which are the projects Justus and the team are doing right now to deliver people clean water, sanitation and good hygiene. So I'm really pleased to say that our long-established Wash in Schools programme has gone from strength to strength this year. So Wash in Schools stands for Water, Sanitation and Hygiene in Schools. I'm going to show you some footage now of the kids' reaction at one of the schools we work with when the construction materials for a project first arrived. Now, the story behind this is that the head teacher sent them out to collect water as they normally had to, and then at that moment the truck arrived with the first materials for the water project that has now been put in place. And I think their reaction speaks for themselves. So that is at Kamagunyat School, and I'm really pleased to say that rainwater harvesting system is now in place there, and those kids have access to clean drinking water. I was fortunate enough to drink out of the water supply myself just a few months ago. I went to go and visit the team. Also, we've been able to put these fantastic toilets in place, and I'd like to now move on to quickly hear from the chair of another school we work with, Rono Moses, who is just going to give you a brief impression of what it's like to go from not having clean water and sanitation at school to suddenly getting those things.
I'm Rono Moses. I am POM Chair, Sasita Primary School. I take this opportunity to thank the DICTIP for helping us to enable our children to have better sanitation in this school. We had only 3 latrines in this school, 1 for boys, 1 for girls, and 1 for the teachers. And as the community we were seeing, it was a very difficult task, because how can a single toilet accommodate or help around 100 pupils? So once the DICTIP came in, we see it was a boost. We are grateful because now, if you see the population in our school, it's almost 500 pupils, which is encouraging, and the community is really thankful. Once the DICTIP handed over this facility to us as community, we take that ownership, and we are grateful. We took an initiative to shelter the tanks which is around us, and we are grateful because the tanks is assisting us a lot.
I think that speaks for itself. We were also really excited this year to pilot our first spring protection projects. Now, you might not know what spring protection project is. This is a picture of a typical spring, which you might find in Bomet County. I appreciate it just looks like a puddle at this point. This is another form a spring can take. So you can see there's water dripping from a rock face here. The water that's coming out of these springs is naturally filtered and so is clean, but as you can see, it gets contaminated very quickly as soon as it comes into the area. It's also very difficult to collect water from a lot of these sites. So this is Betty, and I find this quite difficult to watch this video, but Betty asked us to film this footage of her collecting water, and asked us to show it to our supporters because she wanted to show how difficult her day-to-day task, which it does 2 to 3 times a day of collecting water is. If you've never picked up a 20-litre jerry can, I mean basic GCSE science, 20 litres equals 20 kilograms, it's incredibly difficult, it's incredibly heavy, and it's very, if you've always had piped water to your house, I think it's very difficult to imagine how tough it is having to go and do this on a daily basis. Now, I'm pleased to say these springs, we have 2 pilot projects this year with spring protection, and they're very simple projects. The way they work is that you capture the eye of the spring, so the centre where the water's coming out. You then build a storage tank like this to store that water, and then you pipe it, normally by a gravity feed, to a tap stand where it's easy to collect for community members. And this is what it looks like. So the image I showed you guys just a second ago of the water dripping out of the rock face, that rock face is just around here, tank's here. There's a gravity feed underground that's giving water out here. Now, to give you an idea of the impact this has had, this is Sarah, an amazing lady who I had the opportunity to meet just a few months ago. And you know, she's saying here that water used to come in drops. We could spend the night here trying to get water. We could even spend 3 days here without water. Mothers suffered the most. We had divided ourselves, and some would come here in the night and others during the day. The long wait for water affected us economically. We would not attend to our family activities. That was the situation, and I'm pleased to say that that has been absolutely transformed just in the last 6 months of this project. This was filmed during the dry season when there was the least amount of water coming out, and you can see that there was just a continuous supply, enough that, you know, kids have water to waste, which is like this really brilliant thing, and it's just absolutely transformative for the community. The third highlight I want to share is our village sanitation work. So since 2020, our team has been developing and rolling out something that's called, intervention is called community-led total sanitation, which admittedly is a bit of a mouthful. So we normally refer to it as CLTS, which stands for community-led total sanitation. It's an approach that focuses on igniting a change in sanitation behaviour through community participation. The result of this intervention is that it ends up with every single household within a given community constructing latrines like the ones you see here, which has a huge impact on public health because there's no longer that open defecation in the community. One of the challenges of any kind of behaviour change program like this is it can be more difficult than investing in infrastructure to measure the impact. But I'm pleased to say there's a very, very rigorous process in place for ensuring that villages have actually become open defecation free. So it's this very intense 3-stage verification process. So initially the local government do an assessment of a village to make sure that there's no defecation there. Then you get independent verifier in who's qualified in doing these inspections and does that. And then finally the national government comes along and does a final inspection. If you pass all those 3 things, a village is then verified as open defecation free, and you get one of these signs, which is fantastic. The progress that Justus and the team have made in this is just absolutely phenomenal. So you can see here the number of villages declared open defecation free. Prior to 2020, 0 villages in Bomet were declared open defecation free. In 2020, Justus and the team rolled out a pilot project, resulting in 6 villages becoming open defecation free. And then through working in partnership with the Department of Public Health and training up public health officers, that's rapidly accelerated up to 166 villages becoming open defecation free, which is benefiting now more than 75,000 people, which is absolutely incredible progress just in the last couple of years. And again, this has a huge impact. Joyce is saying that we used not to have toilets in our homes, but they've since enlightened us, not only to construct them, but also keep them clean. And you have Joseph here explaining that, you know, it's very great for the programme. When the village attained open defecation-free status, school children could easily practice hygiene practices both in school and at home, which is obviously absolutely critical. So I hope that I've given a flavour of the practical immediate solutions for our work. I'm going to quickly give a snapshot of the long-term partnerships for change work we've been doing. Our focus over the last year has been supporting the county government Bomet and other partners to create a data-driven roadmap for the county. Now, this roadmap sets out a plan for achieving universal access to wash services for every resident of Bomet County. This includes a plan for improving all areas of wash in Bomet County, not just infrastructure, and it's fully costed. It sets out mechanisms for funding, which is absolutely crucial. This is Right Honourable Professor Hilary Barchok, who is the Governor of Bomet County. And back in July of this year, this is myself and Justus sat with the Governor, the Deputy Governor, the Minister for Health, the Minister for Water, the Minister for Finance here, presenting the finalised version of this plan to Professor Barchok. Now, this plan was over 1.5 years in the making. It involved undertaking a survey of 250,000 people to ascertain exactly what wash data was like, and they gave us a snapshot of the situation the county needed to write this plan, and it involved bringing together multiple departments and other partners such as the Red Cross to deliver and develop the plan. Here's a picture of me and the Governor signing the plan, and we actually signed 2 documents on that day. One was the plan itself. The second was a MOU, which is essentially a contract, which legally binds the county to implementing and continuously refining this roadmap. and also committed the county to a joint fundraising commitment between Dig Deep and the county government Bomet, which means the county will be funding 35% of our blueprint projects in Denaya Bosie ward, where our office is, over the next 5 years. This got a huge amount of media attention. So this is the plan being announced in the Daily Nation, which is one of only 4 national newspapers in Kenya. And here's a report we watched the same day on 7 o'clock on the 7 o'clock news, detailing what was happening. Why was everyone so excited? I think a fair reaction to this is that, you know, why does making a plan matter? Why does this roadmap matter? This is absolutely critical because through creating this roadmap, the county is able to do 3 things better. Firstly, the county government is better at investing its existing wash resources more effectively, because prior to the plan, each individual department was trying to do different initiatives that were often overlapping. There was waste of money, and this will go a very long way to sorting out, making sure that existing resources are used more effectively. The county government will be attracting and investing additional resources, wash resources effectively. Like when there was no plan, it was very difficult for the Bomet County to leverage funding from the national government and external funders from outside the country. But now that plan is in place, it'll make it much easier. And the county, we think, with this plan, we're able to attract and coordinate and direct external agencies such as Dig Deep and other partners much more effectively. So it'll stop any duplication. All these things are incredibly important for achieving a long-term aim of making sure that every single person in Bomet County has access to clean water, safe toilets and good hygiene. Finally, before we bring Justus in to explain how he's achieved all this incredible stuff, I want to very quickly go through what our 5-year outlook is in terms of what we're trying to achieve. This is all taken from that roadmap for achieving universal access. So firstly, in terms of our practical immediate solutions, in the next 5 years, we are going to construct 81 water projects, providing 80,000 people with clean water. We're going to do construction and training projects at 29 schools, providing 11,000 children with clean water, safe toilets and good hygiene. And through our village sanitation project, we're going to be working with 10,000 households to create open defecation-free communities for 188,000 people. And I put a star there because that is the project that we are currently fundraising for through the Big Give. In terms of our long-term partnerships, next 5 years, it's a little more complicated, but just give the roadmap is 150 pages long, so I'm not going to try and summarize it here, but just give you an impression of what we're doing. This is a map of Bomet County. The yellow area is where our office is, which is about an area of 50,000 people. That and the dark blue area is about 250,000 people, and the whole county is 1 million people. Those practical immediate solutions I was just referring to are focused in the yellow and dark blue area, and they are acting as blueprint projects, which will then be scaled up through the wider work the county is doing. So this will be testing grounds, which will undertake to work with county departments, and then they will be able to scale those up across the entire county. Just to draw out one example of, one final example of why this broader systems thinking with development of road plan is so important. Over the next year, we are going to be doing a lot of work on digitizing water sanitation hygiene monitoring. That might sound like quite a back office activity and something that isn't that exciting, but it is incredibly important. And I think this diagram for me, it really sums up why. So this is a diagram showing the outputs of the survey we've already done in the blue and yellow area of this map. And what this showed us once we digitized this monitoring and did that survey of about 250,000 people is that there were far more springs in the area than anyone thought. Prior to this, the county government, ourselves, other NGOs were planning to do a lot of drilling for water, which is very expensive, or filtration of like rivers nearby and then piping in, which is again very expensive. This monitoring revealed to us there are 74 springs within this area, which can be much more cost effectively captured and give people clean drinking water. So I think this sums up why it's so important that Justus and the team are acting in the short term and also looking at long-term partnerships, because those two things come together to make sure that our resources are used as effectively as possible and we're just reaching as many people as possible for every single pound invested. So summarised, by transforming access to clean water, safe toilets and good hygiene, your support is improving the health, education, empowering girls and women, and boosting our economic growth for all 1 million people of Bomet County. So on behalf of myself, the entire team, Justus, the Kenyan team, and all the communities we're serving, I just want to say an absolutely huge thank you for all of your support. Harriet, I think you're coming back in at this point.
I'm here. I've been waiting eagerly to talk about the Big Give. So yeah, thank you for that, Ben. I just want to take a minute of all of the time to talk about the Big Give that Ben mentioned before. So many of you on the call have supported us in our Big Give Christmas Challenge already this year or in one of our previous years. But for those of you who don't know what it is, I'll just quickly let you know about this incredible opportunity where you can double your donation and help us reach our fundraising goal of £40,000. So the Big Give Christmas Challenge is the UK's biggest match funding campaign, and it takes place this year between the 29th of November and the 6th of December. So we are right in the middle of it. So not only will all donations made to our campaign page during that time be doubled, these donations could change the lives of at least 15,000 school children and family members, and that's by supporting their communities to reach every school and household with a toilet and a place to wash their hands. So it can have a massive, massive impact. So I'm sure, as many people can relate at the moment, the cost of living crisis means that for many in both Kenya and the UK, the coming months do remain a worrying time. And kind of more than ever, we're reminded that the fundamental right to clean water, safe toilets and good hygiene is still denied to children and families around the world, and that we need to find ways to make your support go as far as possible. So that's why I am delighted to say that we are part of the Big Give Christmas Challenge. We have been chosen to take part for a third year in a row. And as of today, so when I checked just before we came on the call, I am really excited to say that we've raised just over £18,000 with thanks to our incredibly generous supporters. So if you are in a position to support this campaign, then I will post the donation link in the chat, or if not, if you can share this campaign with your networks, spread the word and help us reach our fundraising target of £40,000 before the 6th of December, then we would be extremely, extremely grateful. But I will post that link in the chat so everyone has access to that. But I'll hand back to Ben now. That's, you only need snippets of my voice at one time.
Great. Well, I'm hoping Justus is still here and we can bring him in for our Q&A.
I'm there, Ben. I'm not asleep.
Well, yeah, Justus, thank you. Thank you so much for coming, because I know that I know it's much later in Kenya, so you prefer an early night. So I thank you for staying up to chat to us. We really, really, really appreciate it. Justus, we first met like 10 years ago now, back in 2012, and it's been an incredible journey working with you and seeing everything you've achieved. We met when Dig Deep was undertaking a project to supply the school which you were head teacher of clean drinking water. So I thought maybe for the guys on the call who don't know you, you could just perhaps explain, you know, what brought you to that point? What's your background, your story? What took you to that?
Okay, thank you very much, Ben, and the rest of the participants. Let me say I'm very much delighted, and I can say we've fairly used most the participants who are there. Now, first, Ben, let me say I just got to know you in 2012 when you came to Ndanai. I'm a teacher by profession, a teacher with children with special needs, and these children who are physically and having neurological impairment, which are now paralyzed. Maybe some of them are paralyzed on the lower limbs. Some of them, they don't have legs. Maybe they are naturally amputated. We call phocomelia. Some are having maybe small legs. We can call them amelic. So in this case here, I think you just came when I was teaching in that school. And we had a very big challenge in that school on water, because I think for those who have come to Kenya, we have been collecting very dirty water. And again, taking in consideration that the children who are there could not move. Some of them are using wheelchairs, some of them are using the crutches. So you came handy. And then when you construct when you treat the borehole, and also install a lot of tanks, then I think it was a game changer. Some of the children, they have what you call spina bifida, which maybe they are paralyzed on the lower limbs. So they could not control their bowels. And in that case here, the challenge is that if they don't have water, they usually have the bed sores. So you came handy for them. Secondly, the water was very dirty. They could not even maybe cleaning them. That's used for drinking and even for cooking. So I could remember vividly well. By that time, you see, sometimes back anyway, you were still very young by that time when I saw you. But yeah, I think probably you must have come from school. So I really appreciated Dig very well, very much. And then that is the time now I had a very big heart for Dig. And that's why after some time, I changed my heart. I was working, I think we had Better World who were assisting us by that time. But I came and I say I work for Dig because you made a big difference, because water is life. And a lot of things changed in that school. Yeah.
For those who don't know, Justus is being incredibly modest and has admitted the fact that he founded this school for children with special educational needs, which is called the Small Home. Prior to that, there was no provision whatsoever within about 200 kilometers for any children with special educational needs. And to do that, Justus really had to be, it's a very inspirational leader in the community to overcome some very significant taboos related to children's special educational needs. And then following that, Justus, you volunteered for, as well as running the school, you in your spare time, you volunteered for Dig Deep, driving our projects forward. And it was only when you retired as a head teacher, I basically handing over the reins, and the school is still thriving. It was when you were only retired, you came on to lead our programs full time. And it's from the point that you took over Justus that the Dig Deep program has really accelerated your leadership out there. So yeah. I think that's also introductions. Harriet, do we have any questions coming through yet?
Yes, we can definitely go into questions. I think it would be lovely to kick things off and hear from Justus kind of what you've found to be the most rewarding part of your work over the past year. Because Ben mentioned so many great achievements there, and it would be lovely to hear from you what you found the most rewarding.
Yeah, I think something which is very, I think I could say that despite the fact I'm working for Dig Deep, I belong to this community. And when I see a big change happening in the community, I think it makes a very big difference in my life. So at times I do forget that I work for Dig Deep, because I think there's very much a lot of things like very impressive. I could even recall what you talk about, Ben, on the spring. We rehabilitated Chamutia. Now, one of the mothers was saying they could stay a whole night in tanks, just collecting that small trip of water. And then they could wait in tanks. And it was down in the lower zone, which is also invested by some animals. And also there it is very far from the households. So they used to sleep in tanks so that they could collect the water whole night when it is dry season. Now, secondly, again, they used to come with their young children and they could come with blankets. That is the story they were talking about. So when you see a game changer now that's come in, they could come, because now the taps we have made are 6 taps, which they could come at one point and then they could open and then go home. So I think that is now something I could say is a big, something that has really, it makes me so happy. Secondly, again, is that the environment within, because I think before we did the intervention on springs, we had to do the CLTS to ensure that the environment is very clean, so that as we do the intervention of the spring protection, the water they are getting is very, very clean. So I think that is now another very amazing thing which has really come in my life. Now, having 106 villages, and you know the lean staff we have in Kenya, it is very impressive, which means we are working around the clock. And that is out of passion because of the work, the support we are getting from you people and our supporters who are there in England. So I want to say we are not taking for granted what you are doing for us here in Kenya. I say personally, I'm a resident of this place. And when I see this thing changing the life of the people, it is very, very impressive. And that again here, these mothers, they're saying many a times they could come and then maybe wait even for a whole day. They don't go to farm. They don't even take care of their families because they want to get water here. So they say even when we rehabilitate this spring, they could come back shortly for maybe a few minutes, they collect water, and then they go back to their homes. So a lot of things has happened from there. So I think those are the two scenarios I could say it has been achieved. So we can have water, many springs. I think it could change the life of these people in health and other things. So we escalate again the CLTS again. The environment will be very clean, and also we reduce the number of diseases within the community. Thank you very much.
Perfect, thank you. It's great to hear your view on kind of what you're proud of and how that's developed and how they interlink as well. It's great to see that. So with whilst we're on the springs, we have a few questions about the spring protection. So with the spring protections, like what Ben mentioned, and Ben also used the quote from Sarah about the water availability at the spring. It says on there that she is a committee member. She's an elected committee member. So are you able just to tell our supporters a little bit about what that means and what those elected committees do at the Springs?
In the spring we have done, I think it serves quite a number of people. And the community members select a few people to represent them in their voices. One is that they ensure that the spring are well protected. I think you saw the fence. And I was very much impressed. It is on the lower zone, which is pushy. But when we erect the fence to protect the tank and also the eye, what was amazing to me so much was that they planted flowers around it, and it's not in the homestead. So it also showed me that they really love whatever we have done for them. So the main work of the committee members, one is to ensure that they protect that facility we have given them. In case there's breakage, they do repair. Another thing again is they also do regular cleaning. Like for example, we have maybe the tank can be cleaned, or the surrounding area can be also washed. The spring box again, one in a given period of time has to be cleaned. So this is not the responsibility of the committee members. Another thing again, we also teach on the need of sanitation. So they escalate again what we teach on sanitation to ensure that that area is protected. And again, also the trees around there, they plant the trees which is now friendly to water. So this is now what they usually teach the community members to ensure that the spring is protected and the surrounding area are done very well. So thank you very much.
Amazing, thank you for explaining that. I think it's really nice to hear that the spring protection projects aren't just about that initial stage of getting the clean water and putting the pipes in. It's also wider community training, and also, like you say, taking pride in those projects as well, and planting the flowers and looking after them. So that's great. And one last one on springs. Ben, you may also want to chip in. I know you're very passionate about the spring projects as well, but obviously you mentioned we've done 2 so far. How do you see that scaling up in 2023 and the impact that will have on the community members that we work with?
Do you want to take that, Justus?
Yeah, can you take over or with?
So our immediate plan for 2023 is we are going to take up from 2 springs, do another further 9 in 2023,
Yes.
and it's in partnership with the Ministry of Water within Bomet County. That's a match funding relationship, so Dig Deep will be contributing 65% and the county 35%. For us, that match funding relationship it's Justus, I think as I said to you before, it's the kind of the biggest compliment I think we receive, because all that has come organically. We have never initiated sort of any kind of lobbying with the county government to get these funds. That funding has come organically through the incredible work Justus is doing, meaning that the constituents in the area talk to their MP, they're members of the local county assembly, and that has led to the government recognising the quality of the work Justus is doing and using the limited resources they have to boost that work, because they can see how effective it is. So yeah, that's come entirely from local people saying, please support this, we need more of it, which I think, as I said, I'll say again, is the biggest compliment I think an organisation like ours can receive, and speaks volumes to the work that Justus and the team are doing out there.
So I could also say, Ben, I think this one is also attracting a lot of attention. Today, I think I received quite a number of them. They are requesting that they need to be done. And I think the community members have really realized, not even within and but some are very far. And they were requesting Justus, if you can have funds, can you scale up to other areas or you just subdivide? So I think we are very much overwhelmed. I received today about 5 of them, and they have been giving me the location and show me the pictures of this one. And this one is in Kebalungu, some of them, that's one of the sub-counties, and 1 in Bomet East and 2 in Bomet Central. So I think the people are now realizing that it's important of spring protection because these are clean water. It is also environmentally clean because they don't, currently there are no trees. So they don't even boil the water. So they get water direct and then they can drink because they are totally clean. So they know the essence of having the springs. Yeah, thank you.
And again, Harry, for me, the next question, last point on this, but I think Justus, what you're saying there is it's such a good example of the catalytic effect we're trying to have. So our projects within the wards we're working in within Bomet, they're fantastic in the immediate impact they have, but their wider impact is they're demonstrating best practice, which the county is now starting to replicate across the population of 1 million people. And that, as I said at the beginning, it's local governments, local businesses, local leaders like Justus and elected representatives who are going to make this change. And it's just fantastic to see that happening so quickly.
Perfect, amazing, thank you. It's really exciting to see the scale up of the spring protection work. So yeah, another thing that massively scaled up that you mentioned in your presentation, Ben, was the community-led total sanitation programme, which absolutely went leaps and bounds to getting villages declared open defecation free from 2020 up to now. So just a very quick touch on that. What does that, Justus, mean to the day-to-day lives of the communities that you work with? And also the next stage of that is kind of post-ODF activities. So can you just let our supporters as well know a bit more about what those activities are and, like I say, what that is day-to-day in the community's lives?
So I think Harriet, as we say, at times maybe people might not believe that people are defecating on the bush, and it is very obvious. So it's this is now what you call behavior change. We shall teach them on the behavior change to ensure that they use the toilets. So when we started, I think we started very small. It was about 45 villages, but we found the community were very much receptive. And out of that 45, we have what you call self-triggering. They say when they saw what you are doing, the next community say, we want also to do the same. And that's why even that figure rise very fast. And it does really have a big impact. We have very clean environment currently. There's no feces around. So the diseases, the waterborne diseases is totally reduced. Secondly, again, you see, even when there's also clean environment, even the animals themselves, because there's no infestation of worms and the rest. So we have everything is so clean in the environment. So what I could say generally are the people, they have totally reduced number of diseases. We were also doing the comparison when we went to the hospital down here. And we were the doctor who was there is that we have a comparison. And they'll say, see the time we engage the community on community-led total sanitation. Now, the reduction of water-related diseases and also the sanitation challenge of diseases has reduced. Because I think, 80% of the diseases are now taken through the dirty environment. Now, when it comes to the post-ODF, this is now the challenge that what we are scaling up. When the people have got the concept, the need of having a toilet, we tell them to improve their toilets from where it was and have a better toilet. So we are using some of the models. We have some of these. We have what you call the starter pans. So this one, they installed in their toilet on the lower parts, the aperture. And then here, this aperture here. So when they defecate here, so they exert the pressure here, and then it opens. So, and then it closes. So from this case here, there will be no flies, which is good here. No bad smell coming from here. No rats are going here. So this is now what we are doing currently. We are telling them to put on their toilets. So here in the lower part, when you defecate, that's it exerts the pressure, and then it falls, and then it goes back. And then this one is clean with small amount of water. You pour a small amount of water here, and it gets clean. So this is now one of them. The other one is I will be using the pictorial. This is now where we have adaptation. We do. I'm a teacher with special needs. This also we do the adaptation in some schools. So this is what you call the Sato stool. And also the same on the inside here. So when a child now sit on here and they defecate, so the same pressure now will push, and then it opens and closes. So you can see the sides here. We have the rail bars, which will support that the children. So in most of the schools, the toilet, we also do adaptation so that it can become friendly. So we comply a lot. So, and then also on the upper part, we can have what you call transfer of. When a child now sits, he can handle and then just sit and then go to the wheelchair. And usually we make this toilet to be wide enough so it can allow this child to go with his wheelchair so that he can also maybe it become private. Now, if I can show you the this is now where we are placed in the lower part of the toilet. So just put it on the that is it. This is the lower part of the toilet. That is now the slab. So we have put this. This is now a pictorial of what we have done. So this is now what you call the post ODF, and this is now the lessons we are giving the people, and they are taking it very well, very much. Thank you very much.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing us those. I think it's really helpful to see the kind of the next stage after ODF has been declared, and how you can make improvements and support members in the community who may need other alterations. So that's great. So I'm conscious of time, but I think it would be great to ask a few questions about the roadmap that Ben mentioned, because that is our most exciting news leading into 2023. So we heard, as Ben mentioned, about the development of the county-wide roadmap with the county government, which mentioned lots of different partners within the county government. So how did it come about to begin coordinating all of those people and getting them involved? Whoever would like to lead on that.
I mean, I'm happy to start with that. Like Justus has many superpowers. One of which is networking, connecting people. So yeah, I mean, it's not to manage that, to create that master plan involved bringing together over 10 different departments and organizations and like several hundred people within them to come together and have a unified vision of how to achieve universal access in the county. That is not an easy thing to achieve at all. We were absolutely astounded how quickly Justus and the team managed to do that, because we were initially looking at a publication date of 2023 to 2024. We kicked off the process in January this year and had it published by July, which I think is also testament to how much the county government itself recognised the need for that and got behind the process as well. So I don't want to take anything away from the ministers we're working with, many of whom, especially the Minister for Water and Health and Finance and the Governor, have been incredibly supportive and really got behind this because they saw the need to bring all the different parties together and you know, make sure we're collaborating, using resources effectively as possible and have that long-term vision. But Justus, you know, you were driving the process. Do you want to?
Yeah. Okay, thanks very much, Ben. I think you have explained very well. So the main essence is that, as I said, our staff is very lean. So many of the activities which we do with the county government. And if we could do as executive alone, there'd be no sustainability. So the main thing when we do with the county government, which has been there, and they are the people who know the caps, that is now the time we can succeed very well. They have technical people in the water department. They have technical people in public health. So even right now, we do as just members, but the people who are in steering when we are moving forward is the chair, is the water department. This is to ensure that we have sustainability in future, because after doing the spring protection, the county government are the one to take over, and then they also do the sustainability. And also what they do is that they ensure that they move forward with the activities we are doing. So The county government, I think, let me say, I'm really happy with them because I think they have been a big champion on what we are doing. Many times, even they call me and tell me, Justus, even the photos I'm talking about, they were the one who sent over to me. Ben, are you there?
I am, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Still got you.
Yes. So I think that is what I was saying is that it is very important. The county government, they are very supportive. And in many instances, I think we have had many other counties and other constituencies. They are coming to benchmark with us. And even yesterday, I had a meeting with the Red Cross and the county government. And they were saying this is the only area, maybe we have done the master plan. Many, they are coming to do the MOU, but not the master plan, because master plan is showing the roadmap of what is to be done in future. Even in our roadmap, it is up to 2050. So this is still a long way where we can have the blueprint up to that far end. So thank you very much.
And you've just reminded me of the conversation we had with the governor on the day we launched, the deputy governor on the day we launched it, when he was explaining that, as far as he was aware, this is the only county that's achieved having this very clear vision, this roadmap master plan for universal access. And he's now taking that to the meeting of governors and deputy governors that happens annually, and shows an example of what can be done. So again, very incredible that you've, Justus, were able to drive that process so quickly.
Thank you.
It's been amazing to watch it from this end. We're very lucky to get the updates from you and the team, Justus, of the incredible progress that you're making. Like Ben said, at absolutely accelerated speed. So that's great. So before I move on to our kind of final questions, you mentioned there about the MOU with the county government. Do you want to kind of touch on the co-funding agreement between Dig Deep and the county government, and what that means kind of in 2023 as well? Either Ben or Justus, whoever would like to lead on that.
Ben?
Yeah, sure thing. So the MOU, it's a fancy word for contract we've signed with the county, commits the county to two things. One is implementing and continuously refining the roadmap over the years until we achieve universal access. It also has committed them to co-funding blueprint projects within Dig Deep's area operations within the county. And so they've committed a minimum of £500,000, which will be released for every 65% that Dig Deep invests, then the county will leave 35%, which means that Dig Deep needs to raise and invest £1 million over the next 5 years to match that. We would love to go way beyond that and move quicker than that. And the only constraint we have as an organisation, now we have this very clear master plan, is funding. So the raising $1 million, investing that really is the minimum. And we're hoping that if we, as Dig Deep, are able to go beyond that, the county will be able to move beyond that as well. But again, we didn't start, in January 2022, we didn't aim to have this co-funding relationship at all. We didn't even ask for it. The county came to us with it, which again, I think speaks volumes to the quality of the work you and the team do, Justus, because normally you have to go around fundraise, right? It's where you approach. So yeah, I think, yeah, it's very, 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 very impressive.
Yeah, it's very exciting. So if funding was no object, I think, Ben, you've just touched on that one. How do you see kind of Dig Deep developing in the next 5 years, if we can look that far ahead? Oh yeah, start with you maybe, Ben, and you can follow on from your. I think,
yeah, something me and Justus make very clear when we speak to our counterparts in the county government, or the ministers there, is that as long as we are welcome, we are there to support Bomet County until the county has achieved universal access to water, sanitation, hygiene for all million of its residents. The quicker we can achieve that, the better. And so if money was our object, we would achieve that as quick as possible to put pipes in the ground, etc. And then at that point, we'd be working at other counties. But Justus, yeah, I mean, I think that summarizes our approach, but do you?
Yeah, I think that's fair enough, Ben. I think you have explained very well. I think the county government, I think surely they are very much welcoming, and I think they really appreciating. We didn't even request, as you said, but they came up handy by themselves. And also they were seeing again that whatever we are doing, that's why then I'm saying I have a very big challenge balancing their needs again in this area. So I think that is it. So I think the funding, I think no one asked, but if we can have more funding, I think the needs are more than what we have at the current moment. Yes.
And or maybe I'd add to that, Justus, is I can see what is happening organically is that across Kenya, people are learning from the work that you are doing. And so I think something that we will be growing into is sharing both what's worked in this program, of course, the challenges as well, because this kind of works 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and you've just persevered through to make sure it works, Justus. But sharing that both what more widely in Kenya and globally to show how effective an NGO, small NGO of our size, partner with county government can be, and examine best practice, which we'll be doing at a couple of global conferences over the next year or so.
Yeah.
Perfect, amazing. I think that covers all of the questions that we have, and it's been lovely to hear from both of you this evening answering those. I've been re-enthused for 2023, which is lovely. But thank you very much for your presentation, Ben, and taking us through Dig Deep and the amazing steps over the past year. And thank you very much for joining us, Justus. We really, really appreciate your insight into what you're doing on the ground in Kenya, and we really, really appreciate your hard work as always, and of course Nelly and Nikki's as well. So thank you everyone for joining us this evening. We hope it's given you an insight into what we do at Dig Deep, and we look forward to working with lots of you in the future and seeing you come along on the journey with us in 2023. So I'll leave you to your evenings for now, but thank you very much, and we'll talk to you all very soon.